All right, welcome to the No More Sex Shame video series. Today we have Trey with us. Trey is the host of the Fuck Yeah Friendly Fire Tumblr blog site with over 160,000 followers. And interestingly, that the story of that blog has something to do with sexual shaming. Trey, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, dude, it's my pleasure, man. Thank you, David, for having me.
So, you know, it probably seems kind of weird to be talking to somebody who's running a Tumblr site about porn, and to say that that's got something to do with sexual shaming. How's that work? How did that site come to be for you?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, I can't believe I'm sitting here, but it's, this long after it started, but I actually started that thing 5.5 years ago, believe it or not, almost exactly to the date, in fact. And yeah, it really just, I was a late 20-something at the time. So it really was just an outlet for me to post, erotica that I, found exciting, because in this particular niche, which I would classify as, kind of almost bi, it's heterosexual, content, but it's very kind of sexually fluid, open-minded kind of content, so to speak. And there really wasn't one central location online that was archiving all of this kind of material. And so it really just started out as a selfish place where I wanted to archive everything that I liked, but it quickly, people started finding it and people started resonating with the sex positive message that I was putting out, and especially a lot of heterosexual couples in the swinging community, a lot of men who, found a community in the space that wasn't judgmental or trying to, fit them in a specific type of box sexually, so to speak. And so, yeah, it just kind of took off from there and became this platform that, a lot of people seem to be really resonating with. So
yeah, I've looked at your site and at the blog, and one of the things that really stood out to me was, just kind of the enthusiasm and the positive attitude that you have towards all of this, and I think it is kind of infectious. There is this, this eager excitement that you have about the sexuality of the material, about the performers, and how skilled and powerful and wonderful and attractive and beautiful and sexy the performers are.
yeah.
And it comes across. I can imagine where followers would read this and read your stuff and watch the videos and maybe start to feel differently about their own sexuality and the fact that they find these things arousing.
Yeah, man. That's really the ultimate goal. I've in my own life, I've always been a kind of a sexual free spirit. I consider myself a sexually fluid individual, bisexual, polyamorous, and so I've just always really been open-minded in that way. And in my expression and openness of my sexuality, it's often been kind of met with people that are really surprised that someone is so kind of sex positive. It's funny, I made the decision that as part of this new chapter of the blog of releasing sex shame, that I was going to put myself out there and be more visible and try to help people in a bigger way, and coaching and helping them to release shame. And I did a video of myself, and a lot of feedback I got was, wow, I'm really surprised at how you look. Like you actually look decent. And it's almost to say, like, a lot of the feedback, which by the way, I'm super grateful for such the nice, feedback, but it's almost to say that people expect somebody that's running a porn blog to be like this creeper, like, Cheeto eating, like soda drinking pervert who's fat. And, like we have this idea of what an enthusiast of pornography and sex looks like. And I say, fuck that. Like, that's stupid. And I realized that my role in society, my purpose in life, is to be a voice for sex positivity and helping end the sex shame that I think is crippling so many of us, myself in the past included. So, yeah.
You know, even just as you said, you know, that, yeah, you know, you're a good looking, energetic, smart guy, who is, yeah, that's right, who is admitting that you watch porn and that you like porn that, you know, oh, straight guys aren't supposed to watch or like.
They like it a lot.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I have heard about your blog from more straight women
Wow.
than I ever would have expected. I've heard about your blog from more women than I have from men,
Love
which I
that. You
think.
know what? I appreciate that feedback because the women tend to kind of stay in the background. I love when they reach out, but usually they do it as part of a couple or what have you. But usually most of my interaction comes from the dudes. So I love hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, I know several women who have told me that the porn on your Tumblr is their porn of choice.
You know what? And I think that's part of the reason why the audience has grown so much for it is because it really is a blog that speaks to everyone. You can be gay, straight, bi, male, female, anything in between. And there's there's no one saying, hey, if you follow this blog, this is what you got to believe. This is how you have to identify. This is what your gender or sex should be. It's kind of just like, hey, let's be sexually tolerant and open. And if it resonates with you, great. And if it doesn't, which it doesn't resonate with a lot of people, and that's cool too. If it doesn't, then, you know, no big deal, no sweat.
So you started this as a way for you to just kind of express and explore your own sexual arousal and interest. And then over time, it took off, and you've got all these hundreds of thousands of followers, and you started realizing that there were a whole lot of other people that shared these interests, and it sounds like it changed some of the way that you felt about yourself sexually.
It did. You know, I went through my own kind of sex shaming experience. You know, being a bisexual, being black, whoo, that's a whole, we don't even have time to go down that path, but being a very quote unquote weird individual and, you know, trying to find my place sexually in the world has been kind of part of my own journey. And if you go back and look through the blog, I mean, I've certainly grown up in certain ways sexually through this blog and have learned how to love and accept myself in ways through this blog as well. And, you know, there certainly was a part of me that was afraid of my fluid sexuality at one point. And I just had to learn to get rid of that and stop giving a shit about what other people think of me. You know, one of my favorite affirmations is what other people think of me is none of my business. And that's certainly not something I've necessarily mastered completely yet. But I've just found that the more that I give zero fucks, very few fucks about what other people think of me, and I just follow and stay true, you know, stay true to what's in my heart and be a good person and try to proliferate good into the world, then it's like, who gives a crap what anybody else thinks of me, right? So.
Yeah, I love that. You know, we're gonna make that a hashtag. You know, what other people think of me is not my business. That's gorgeous.
That's right, man. That's right.
Now, I know you took a break from the blog for a while, and what was that about?
I did. You know, it was partially because I went through a breakup, and I think it was my, you know, first relationship, and I think, you know, after a breakup, at least in my case, I went through a lot of internal work and, you know, healing, but also I kind of did go through this phase, this part of my life where I was like, damn, like, is something wrong with me? Am I a sex addict? Are all these like sex shamers, are they right? You know, I had, you know, a couple of therapist friends. One knew about my blog before becoming a sex addiction therapist. And then in the middle of, and then, you know, had a meeting with him one day, and then the next day he told me he was going to be a sex addiction therapist, and then another therapist friend of mine as well. And you know, I got a lot of judgment from them, and so I went through this 9-month period where I just didn't post anything. And you know what, David? It was really interesting in that time when I just was kind of like selfishly taking time for me, which I'm actually really glad that I did, because I came away knowing even more that part of my life's purpose was putting out this sex positive message. But in that time, what was so inspiring to me was seeing messages. I mean, I got a message every day from wives, from men that were saying, hey, please come back. This was a part of my sexual experience that was very affirming for me, that was something that was helpful to me to feel like I wasn't a big weirdo. It was something that was a positive force for me. And so the more I started hearing from other people, and the more that I just really thought critically about sex and what everybody else was thinking, you know, I just realized a lot of people are just projecting their own shit. A lot of people are just projecting their own shame. And I'm like, I knew within me that I was a good person, and I knew that sex is beautiful. And I thought, why the hell do people make such a big deal about sex when we know we all like it? Like, we all love it. So why do we sit and pretend and perpetuate this shame and judge other people? You know, it's just ridiculous. I don't get it. I don't get it. And so it made me just stop and think critically, like, there's this whole slew of people that are resonating with the message that I'm putting out for a reason. And I know who I am. And I know that sex is, you know, again, in my opinion, the most beautiful facet of the human experience. And it's the very mechanism that is the perpetuation of our species. I just think it's preposterous that we all, in our own way, are contributing to the perpetuation of the shame around it. It's just maddening to me. So yeah, I just started questioning things like I always have.
And, you know, and therapists that you encountered that were, you know, working through their own sexual shame conflicts, that don't have any training in sexuality, that don't understand what porn is, that think their kind of porn is okay, the porn they watch is okay, but any porn you watch must be unhealthy and creepy. They're out there, sadly, they're out there telling people like you across the country that there's something wrong with them for liking that.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately just really too bad. And, you know, before I started learning more about therapy, especially sex therapy, I really put therapists on a pedestal. And so when I got this judgment back from therapists, like, I really took that to heart. I mean, like, it really fucked me up for a while. You know, I had both my therapist friends, like, I knew intimate details about their sex lives. And I'm like, I never judged them. I didn't judge my therapist friend that was having sex in public. I didn't judge my, you know, other therapist friend that was, you know, having group sex or whatever. Like, but they judged me for running a porn blog, you know? And so what I realized was that in my acceptance and love of sex and promotion of positivity around it, that really brought to light a lot of their own shame. And so me standing in my power and being confident in who I am sexually caused them to really look at themselves, unconsciously or consciously, one of the two, and they had to really analyze themselves on some level. And so that came out and manifested itself as judgment towards me. But I know better now. Now that I know who I am and I don't carry any shame around me, I've just found that the more I love and accept myself and know who I am and don't worry about what other people think of me, the less people like that come around. So I just, I don't tolerate it anymore. And I don't judge them. It's all love. You know, they're not in my life right now, but it's all love. And I just don't have any room for anyone that's going to try and shame me for something that's, in my opinion, not harmful to me or anyone else.
So as you model sexual self-acceptance in who you are, it draws a healthier kind of group of people around you.
Yeah, it really does. Not unlike yourself. Yeah, it really does. The more that I just stay true to who I am and, you know, let go of my own, you know, shame and, you know, guilt, the less those people come around. It's just like they just kind of fall to the wayside. And so now, it's funny, I was at a party, I was actually on my birthday last month, and this guy leaves, and one of my friends was there, and as soon as he left, he said, I don't know why he's acting all happy with his girlfriend. He talks about how much porn he watches at work when we're to work together. And the whole group of about 10, 12 people just busted out laughing. And I sat there and I thought, now I could sit here and not say something, or I could kind of challenge the group here. So I did. I said, you know, that's kind of a sex negative belief, isn't it? I mean, do we give our partner a key to our sexuality. I think you talk about this a lot, that, you know, only they can control forever, you know, forever and ever. Or do we have the right to our own individual sexuality? Not kidding. The same group of people that were just laughing and mocking the person in shame got quiet and really uncomfortable, to the point to where the party host was coming over to me like, hey, is everything okay? And I'm like, I'm great. Why are you in my face? They're the ones gossiping and throwing shame at this dude who was sharing personal details in private that he did not want shared with everyone. So it's like, it's okay in public to shame people and make fun of people and make it seem like porn, anyone who watches porn is, you know, has something wrong with them. But, you know, someone who's like just speaking up and saying, hey, you might want to like not shame people for having a sexuality, are looked at as crazy. And I think that's stupid. And I think that we all need to fucking cut it out. And we need to stop allowing those kinds of sex negative conversations to come up. And when they do, speak up. Because when we don't, we're not in integrity. You don't have to go very far to look up the statistics of how many people are watching porn online, right? And so to be in that environment and to run my blog and to hear that and not say something would not have been an integrity for me. And so I just want to be, you know, an advocate and a voice for other people doing the same, because the more of us that come into our power and stop allowing shit like that and that negativity and shaming around sex and porn, then the less power it'll have over us.
You know, I guarantee you that out of that 12 people, at least half of them, you know, went home and watched porn that night.
At least. Yes.
But you know what? I bet at least one or two of them, what you said sunk in, and they might be somewhere today thinking, wow, you know, maybe there's nothing wrong with these sexual secrets that I'm hiding.
Yeah, totally. I hope so.
So where are you going now? What are you doing with this? You mentioned that you're interested in now trying to kind of take this message and take that kind of dialogue out in different ways.
Yeah, man. So I'm figuring all that out right now. It's kind of new to me, but I have a professional background in coaching business people. So it's my intention to take that and through coaching or, you know, of some sort, to empower other men and women, couples who have been shamed, people in the polyamorous lifestyle, swinging lifestyle, you know, other sexual minorities, especially bisexual men who have been just vilified and ignored and erased. And I want to, as much as I wish somebody else would be out there doing it, I realize, you know what, I need to be the change that I want in the world, right? And so, yeah, it's my intention to do that and help people become more empowered in their sexuality. So that's the goal.
Yeah, those bisexual men out there who, you know, have been shamed and told that they spread AIDS and everything else, and they do need help. I mean, they need help from somebody like you who can say, hey, there are healthy ways to do this with integrity. There are healthy, positive ways to accept yourself and express yourself, and maybe even negotiate that with your partner.
Yeah. And I mean, when I was in my early 20s and I came out as bisexual, everybody told me that that was bullshit. Gay people especially, but also straight people told me that that was bullshit. And so I know for a fact that, and so it shamed me to not come out as bi. In fact, I came out as gay and then was, you know, still sexually interested in and participating with women. And so I happen to believe that because of shame around bisexuality, there are a lot of truly bisexual people that are hanging out on either end of the spectrum because we've been shamed. We've been erased and made to believe like, you know, it's just a phase or it's a, you know, it's impossible. And the fact that a lot of that judgment comes from gay people is hilarious to me. It's just hilarious. But yeah, long story longer, all of this in my story arc has been for a very specific reason. And I know it's because I have to help other people. And so, yes, the medium through which I have chosen to do this help right now has been a porn blog, and I love it. I love it because porn is changing the world. It's making people more accepting of themselves. They're finding out that they're not fucking weird, that they're normal just like everybody else. and it's making them, you know, think critically about how we look at sex and sexuality. And I think that's all great. So I'm all
Finding out they're not alone. They're not the only ones that like this thing that they've been taught to be afraid of or shame.
Totally. Yeah, we need to cut that. We need to cut it out. All of us that are pretending like we don't like it or that we're judging other people, all we're doing is just kind of projecting our own shit. And so, you know, in one form or another, I'm sure I did it at one point. But yeah, stop the madness.
Well, now you get to go out and continue the work you started with Fuck Yeah, Friendly Fire.
Fuck yeah.
And teach other and now start teaching people how to integrate that into their life. I think that's really wonderful.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Absolutely.
Thanks for doing this, Trey.
It's my pleasure, David.